Good morning, everybody. It's about 8 a.m. here, and I'm all loaded up for a show, as you can see. So, kind of like they did in the fall, the Long Island Antique Power Association is doing yet another one of their plow days, where all the guys with all the antique tractors go around back and plow a giant field, which is cool in and of itself. But what's even cooler is that all the engine guys get together. So it's almost like a show without the people. And probably a few less engines, but hey, it's still pretty darn close to a show, and given the scenario our world is in right now, I'll take it. So as you can see, all loaded up here, ready to go. So I figured I'd just shoot a quick starting clip here, and I'll see you guys out there. So let's go for a ride. Emergency brake doesn't work so well, folks. Helps to turn the switch on too. There we go. Alright, time for a nice long ride all the way out to eastern Long Island. I'll see you guys there. Nothing quite beats driving an old Dodge Power Wagon. Some good old bluegrass coming out on the radio. It's gonna be a nice drive. Cruising along in fourth gear, barely touching the gas. Well, this is what the highway is like in the Dodge. It's kind of a little bit ridiculous. It's just really loud. Lots of road noise. Doing a mile a minute, and it really feels like it too. Also not sure what goes faster, the odometer or the gas gauge. But there you go. Look at the trees whizzing by. 60 miles an hour and this thing feels like 157. It's ridiculous. Man, guys, it sure does get nice out here. Cruising along these almost country roads. Just farms on either end. Cruising along at a nice 40 miles an hour. It's a nice speed in this truck. It's nice and quiet. But look at all that farmland out there. Sure is pretty, that's for darn sure. Crazy to think that all of Long Island was this at one point. Kinda makes me a bit sad, but hey, there's not much you can do. We're here, as you can see. Already got a couple guys plowing out back there. See all the antique machinery and whatnot. A couple guys starting to set up some engines. And I think, so far it looks like everything made it here. Nothing flew out of the truck, so that's good. Burned about a quarter tank of gas. But we're here, so I'm gonna get setting up, and I'll check in with you guys when some of this stuff picks up. Well guys, after a few hours, finally got all of my engines running. Took quite a bit of effort to get them all going. I had a couple stubborn ones. Mainly the Ideal was being extremely stubborn, and the Witty wanted to flood out a little bit today, but finally got them all going, so figured to do the lineup. Is the old Power Wagon, as you saw some footage of that driving here. It's been a good truck, I love it. Then of course, the staple of all my shows, the 1951 Briggs & Stratton Model 9, which I made into a hit and miss. That one's chugging right along. Running real smooth. Pretty happy with that. Then we got the big old Witty. It's running a tad on the rough side. There's a piece of rubber in the mixer here, which I think is acting up a bit. It's either that or it's a check valve. But at least it's running. It's just misfiring a bit more than I'd like. But this is definitely this cart's last hurrah. This thing needs a cart like you wouldn't believe. See everything moving in there. These 4x4s that this thing's sitting on are completely rotten, and they need to be replaced badly. I got it driving this big blower fan, although it keeps inching forward and the belt keeps slipping. But it's still blowing a little air in my seat. I'm going to have to push the Witty back and get a little more air out of it. Water in there is steaming. Doing pretty well. Then over here we got the two Briggs engines from the 30s. Got the 36 Briggs Model 8 putting right along here. The lever start. That's driving this little gear pump. Now you're dumping into the bucket. And then over here, we got the big old 1939 Briggs & Stratton Model B. That's just chugging along, and it's driving this little centrifugal pump I have. That's also squirting into the bucket. And finally, we have the troublemaker. This is the 1920s Ideal Model V. And this thing was being a real pain in the ass this morning. This thing did not want to run. But we got it running. Not running great. I think my intake valve needs to be, I think the valve and the valve seat need to be cut. And then I'll lap the valve in. Because you can see it's spitting a lot. But, hey, at least it's running. So, that's my display there for this show. Back up a bit so you guys can see all of it. But, a couple other guys showed up here. Got my buddy Bruce. You want to say hi? He's got his Stover. Is it 2 horse? 2 horsepower. That's that. This thing's running like a top. Once I get my hit and miss engines running right, they'll be here. I got 2 of them now. You guys will see them in due time once I get to them. We got another Stover. 2 to 2.5 horsepower. It's an enclosed crank. Also running really smoothly. It's a 1936. Do you know what year this is, Bruce? 25? Alright, this one's 1925. This one's a 1936. There you go. Over here is my friend John's. A couple of his Briggs engines taking a rest. I think he said the coil in this pump is going, but some neat stuff here. Working on it?
Yeah, it's oil. Get food yet?
No, I'm going to in a minute. That's a Briggs Model FH. This one is, I think it's an FG. Yep. FG there. I like these old overhead valve engine Briggs. And this is a little Model N, but I believe it's a special N. It's meant for industrial use, and it doesn't for idle. It's got a special cam in it, some other weird stuff, so it's a bit of an oddball. Down here, we have a couple engines taking a break. There's an International in the truck here. I don't really know these that well. That might be an LA and LB. I can't really tell. LA. International. We have this crazy thing. This was actually at the same barn sale that the Whitty was at. Where I got my Whitty. It's an L Benz and spool or something like that. This is a really, really neat engine. This thing was completely in pieces only a couple months ago. So the guy Freddie that has this must have done a pretty good job. Hopefully get to see it running a little bit. It's a side shaft engine. Really neat looking. Down here we got a couple of more engines. Another International. LA. It's on some sort of pump. Then air compressor or vacuum pump? Milking machine. That's what? It's a milking machine. Oh, it's a milking machine. Okay, gotcha. That's running a milking machine. I have a little 1917 1-horse Mogul Junior. It's a cute little thing. The igniter fired, which is kind of interesting. Throttle govern. Over here we got a couple other engines that will hopefully be running in a little while. So I have to come back over, but I think I'm going to go grab myself some food and we'll do a little more videoing. You said there's a 3 horsepower?
3 horsepower.
All the way out there, those guys are plowing. Pretty freaking far. I don't know if I'm gonna get out there to get any closer shots, but there are a couple older tractors out there. I don't really know my tractor stuff that well. Not all that into it, but there's one. It's probably really shaky. I can't really see what I'm videoing. The sun's really bright, but there they go. Talk about engines. Holy crap, there is some really, really neat stuff in here. I'm going to try and get a little more active in this club. I'm going to try and get out here and work on some of this stuff a little more often. But when I do, I'll definitely bring you guys along as long as the other guys that work here are alright with it. Because there are some really, really neat things in here. Look at the size of this metal lathe. It's ridiculous. That thing is like 20 feet long. But just to point out a couple cool things. Ottawa drag saw there. That looks like some sort of diesel engine. Massey Harris hit and miss. Some of these, I don't think that many of these small engines belong to the club itself. I think they're mostly club members that store them here, but there are a decent amount that are here. GM diesel. If we go over here, besides the giant tractors and whatnot, here's another one of those Czechoslovakian engines, the L-Benz and Company. Not even going to try and read that. A giant tugboat marine engine in here. That's a massive engine back there. The GM diesel, a couple auto engines, single flywheel, dual flywheel. Big Nelson Bros throttler. Giant Fairbanks Morse. Some of these I don't even know what they are. They're just massive. It's a mudsucker pump. It's an 8-horse Fairbanks throttler in pieces. Check that thing out. Holy crap, that's a massive Fairbanks diesel. It's crazy. Here's a giant generator head. And that's the engine that's powering it. There's a big Otto engine over there. We climb back in here. It's an Atlas Imperial. I'm going to try and get over there without killing myself. It's another throttle governed Massey Harris. This Atlas Imperial, which I showed in my last video of this place, wasn't exactly my best video. They actually run this one at shows, but somebody pointed this out to me. This ran 24/7 at an ice plant here on the island, and they shut it down 2 times. One was when the place flooded at one point. The other, the operator that was supposed to be running this thing, you know, they worked in shifts. Well, the operator fell apart. The operator fell asleep, and this thing ran away, and it threw a rod out the side here, and it completely blew this whole chunk of the engine out. But they shut the engine down, and hell, they brazed the thing back together. There's a braze all along here and down through here. That braze is like 2 inches wide there. How hot they got this block to do that, and how they got it that hot, is beyond me. But they did a hell of a job, because this thing runs amazing. But that was just insane to me when I learned that. I didn't even realize. Here's an Eclipse. It's a hot tube engine. Man, I really can't speak today. It's a hot tube ignition engine. Pretty cool, pretty rare. Another GM diesel of sorts. Giant upright Fairbanks engine. There's I think it's a 6-horse New Holland under there. It's pretty rare. It's just crazy. This place has got so much cool stuff. hoping that we can get more of it running in the next few years. I'm sure all these engines ran at some point, but they don't usually drag that many out for shows. I think a lot of the guys that knew how to operate these things are gone now, or in the process of, you know, they're not doing so well. But there's some really neat stuff in here. And if I get more active and they're alright with me shooting some video, I definitely will, because this stuff needs to be shared. I'm gonna try and get more people into, or convince the guys here to run these things more often, because this stuff really needs to be out there. But just figured I'd show you guys, at least give you a little sneak peek. But there you go. Definitely gonna try and get a little more active into this place. Well guys, I think things are starting to wrap up here. Shut all the engines down to help cool off. Hit and Miss is just running out of gas right now. But they all ran pretty well. The Woody fought me a little bit when I was first getting started. I flooded it out by accident, and it was a little grumpy. Got a new plug in it that seemed to take care of it. These two fired right up. The Hit and Miss fired right up. This thing was really grumpy. It took forever to get this going, but once it was going, it ran really well for a while. Then I walked away for a little while. I ended up getting distracted. I came back and the belt was off and the head was smoking. So that's not good. I think I was just burning some of the crap off. It's still got good compression, still spins over pretty well. So hopefully it wasn't running too long without that fan belt. But I gotta figure something else out for that anyways. I think it's fine. I'm gonna take it apart and just double check, but hopefully it is, because otherwise that would really suck. But overall, it was a pretty good show. I mean, it wasn't quite as crowded as we normally get. There weren't as many things running, but we got all the engine guys up. There goes the Hit and Miss. All the engine guys got to hang out and talk for a while. Got to do a nice little tour of the barn in there and some other stuff, and it was a good time. Nice weather. It was just fun to hear some stuff run. But I was talking to some people. We think we're going to actually do some real shows this year, which would be nice. Granted that COVID is better, but things are looking good. So I think that if we do a show this year, it's going to be a pretty good one. So hopefully that will happen. But anyways, it's probably going to be a pretty quick video, but figured I'd just put it out there anyways. So thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, hit the little like and subscribe buttons. I'd appreciate that. By all means, leave a comment if you have one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.